it would be appropriate to have somebody representing the Army. So Supervisor White, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
We're getting ready to go. They're saying
I
that
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment while we contemplate the business before us tonight. Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Lucky, are we in compliance with open meetings law?
We are, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And the agenda is before you. Does anyone want to modify it or approve as submitted?
I would make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Paulson, second by Supervisor Backlund. Any discussion or correction? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, the motion carries. Approval of the May 13th, 2025 meeting minutes, Supervisor Paulson.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes for the May 13th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Paulson. I saw second by Supervisor Jekyll. Any correction or addition? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under communications, we have a notice of public hearing for planning and zoning on June 19th, 2025. Is in your packet. Also, the treasurer's monthly report. Any other communications? Okay. Which brings us to item 7, public comment. Public comment regarding any agenda items. Do we have anyone registered tonight? Anyone wishing to make public comment? Hearing none, we will move on. Which brings us to item 8, special order of business. First of all, introduction of the Jefferson County Fairest of the Fair. Supervisor Paulson, would you make the introductions, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, it's my honor to introduce an exceptional young lady, Hannah Bratley, who is going to be the fairest of the fair for this year. Hannah? You're very welcome.
Hello, everyone. As he said, my name is Hannah Bratley, and I'm the 2025 Jefferson County Fairest of the Fair. I've been exhibiting at the Jefferson County Fair for the past 8 years. My project areas include poultry, rabbits, beef, gardening, flowers, and canned goods, the occasional baking. I love this fair so very much, and I cannot wait to share my passion and love for this fair with the public. I've already been doing a few events this spring. Most recently, I did an elementary school visit to Lincoln Elementary in Whitewater, where I spoke at the all-school assembly, and then I also did a few classroom visits. And then I also did the Cambridge Memorial Day Parade, Jelly's Market Dirt Days, and the Jefferson FFA Pancake Breakfast. So I cannot wait for the Jefferson County Fair this July, because there truly is no place like fair, and I can't wait to see you all there July 9th through the 13th. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, the County Administrator, Mr. Lucky, will introduce and recognize the Jefferson County Public Health Nurse of the Year Award.
Yes, and I would like to call everyone from the Board of Health and Health Department up, anyone who would be speaking. But I do want to just note, this was an opportunity that we found, and I reached out to Elizabeth to share if any of our public health nurses would be worthy, or I guess everyone is worthy of this award that we employ. But if there's anyone that she would think of immediately that would come to mind, and so Maria is one of the Nurses of the Year, for a joint partnership with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and the Wisconsin Nurses Association. The work that she has done has been exceptional. It's recognized in an article that we can share. I think we shared it on Facebook. We'll share it again after this, for all that she does, the program she's helped build, the inroads she's made to the community. And so we're just very grateful for the work you do, Maria. I think Elizabeth had a couple more things to add.
I couldn't let you guys get by tonight without having to listen to me, so I apologize. In the fall of 2022, Maria accepted her very first nursing position here with Jefferson County. It's incredibly rare that a public health nurse starts their career in public health, but Maria did, and it quickly became clear that this is exactly where she was meant to be. From day one, Maria has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to serving the community. Her unique ability to build trust with patients, tackle really complex health issues, and advocate for the underserved populations has always set her apart. In just under 3 years, she has been able to make an impact that many spend an entire lifetime trying to achieve. It is with great pride that we're here today to recognize Maria as this year's Nurse of the Year Award, a title that truly reflects her extraordinary skills and all of the contributions that she has given to not only Jefferson County, but beyond. Her work really exemplifies the very best of what public health nursing can be: community-centered, equity-driven, and deeply compassionate. Maria, you truly are more than a dedicated nurse. You're a leader, a bridge builder, and a really powerful force for health equity. This recognition is not only well-deserved, but it is a celebration for the future of public health. So congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. This is truly an honor and everything that I once was praying for.
I'll just add one more editorial note. Maria didn't know I was going to say this, but I'm on the board for a nonprofit in Lake Mills that Maria's been very involved in setting up, Gianna's Joy, and I'm just very grateful for the work you do. We can see it outside of work as well, your passion for your job, so appreciate that. And everyone, stick around because we're going to get a photo afterwards, but I do want to introduce the next recognition we're getting, which is another group of very talented and very well-deserving county employees. Mr. Chair, if it's all right to move to 8C.
Please.
The Working Lands Preservation Award. Gathering Waters is a conservation group, association in Wisconsin. Their director is here to present an award that our Land and Water Conservation Department and those involved with the PACE program specifically received for working lands preservation and everything the county does in that scope.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me tonight, and thanks so much for the introduction, Michael. As Michael mentioned, my name is Mike Carlson, and I'm the Executive Director of Gathering Waters, which is Wisconsin's Alliance for Land Trusts. At Gathering Waters, we actually celebrated our 30th anniversary last year, and it's been really inspiring to reflect on how much has happened with land conservation in Wisconsin since the mid-1990s. Over those 3 decades, the land trust community has grown from a dozen organizations to more than 40 independent nonprofits that are working across the state today. And at Gathering Waters, we exist to support and strengthen those local land trusts. Importantly, I'd say we also advocate for public funding for land conservation, and I just wanted to actually extend my thanks to all of you tonight for last month your resolution in support of the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program. That's obviously up for debate in the state budget right now, and just wanted to recognize all of your leadership in really standing up for that program. But we also advocate for working lands preservation through things like the statewide Purchase of Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. At Gathering Waters, we also think that it's really important to honor individuals and organizations that really pour their hearts and souls into preserving Wisconsin's land, water, and wildlife. And one way that we do that is through our annual Land Conservation Leadership Awards, which we've been giving out for more than 2 decades. Annually, we solicit nominations for a number of different categories, and this evening, I am just thrilled to be here to present our 2025 Working Lands Preservation Award to the Jefferson County Land and Water Conservation Department. The award recognizes individuals and organizations that exhibit an extraordinary commitment to the preservation of Wisconsin's working lands. And given that description, I really can't think of a more deserving recipient. The Jefferson County Land and Water Conservation Department has preserved working lands through their innovative programs and partnerships, a few of which I just want to highlight here today. The department has administered the county's Purchase of Agricultural Conservation Easement Program since its inception in 2007, which I think is when Margaret and I first met many years ago. And the impact has been noteworthy, with over 1,100 acres of critical farmland that have been permanently protected in Jefferson County. This high-quality farmland has been safeguarded through donated and purchased conservation easements. Some of the public benefits from these easements include protection of groundwater recharge areas, reduction of soil erosion and runoff, sustainable forestry practices, and pollution reduction. In 2022, the LWCD joined the Wisconsin Farmland Protection Partnership, which in collaboration, led by one of our land trust members, the American Farmland Trust, this partnership supports farmers and landowners looking to protect their legacy by slowing the loss of vital agricultural land. These are just a couple of examples that demonstrate the commitment of the hardworking team at Jefferson County. And together, all of these efforts show an extraordinary commitment to protecting working lands and improving agricultural sustainability throughout Jefferson County. In response to mounting development pressure, Jefferson County has chosen to prioritize the protection of vital working lands, which not only protects vital open spaces, but also preserves the community's rural character and strengthens the local economy. So all of us at Gathering Waters and in the conservation community around Wisconsin, we're just so grateful for your leadership and for the Land and Water Conservation Department's unwavering work in preserving vital working lands. We're so glad to have this chance to present this award tonight, and honored to be here. And again, if you could join me in giving a round of applause to the department. We've got a nice plaque that they'll be able to display in their office downstairs. So, all right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, I would ask Supervisor Walt Christensen to come up with the introduction of artists from the Horde Art Show.
And as he's coming to the mic, just want to recognize Supervisor Turville Heights, who had nominated the program. So thank you for your work in preparing that nomination.
Hi, everyone. My name's Chris Steinmiller. I am very pleased to be able to have my art here for the next year, right? For a year. Yeah, for the next year. I am a landscape artist primarily. These two pieces are local significance that were in the Mary Horde Art Show over the last 2 years. That is Jelly's Farm Market, strawberry hunting, and the other one is Rainy Night in Downtown Jefferson. So I love painting landscapes. I do other things as well, and I want to just put in a plug for the Jefferson Plein Air, PLEIN, which is painting outdoors, starts tomorrow. So you're going to see a number of local and regional artists painting throughout the greater Jefferson area. And if you want to see what we actually paint, please stop in at the library Friday night or Saturday to see more of this kind of work. So thank you.
Would you please hold it for a minute?
Sure.
Thank you, Chris. So Chris is part of a program that we started last year. This is our second year, where we try to obtain some art through the Mary Horde Art Show, which is a spring art show every year. And this year was particularly good. And we did get two artists to agree to loan us their art for a year. So as you heard, Chris Steinmiller is one, and she has two pieces of local significance. We also always try to find a student. And our student this year is Sophie Lonsdale, and she lives in Fort Atkinson. She's a student at Fort Atkinson High School in grade 9. Her work over there, which is displayed at this wall and the east wall, is called Train of Dreams. And it was the result of a lesson on surrealism. And so I think she did a good job. I'll just say personally, I happened to have that at my house for a couple days when I put together a frame for it that I got for $2 at St. Vitty's. And so I had it at my house for a couple days and got a chance to really look at it. And I would recommend everybody take a look at that when you have some time. Of the next year, you'll have plenty of time, and look at how much work Sophie put into that colored pencil drawing. It's an amazing piece. So that's what I have for you tonight. I don't see Sophie here tonight. She was invited to attend and be introduced, but I don't see her. So thanks to the board for helping out with this and approving this, and to John Fox for getting that hanging hardware in place. Thank you.
Okay, the last item under special order of business is we have presentation of the 2024 audit results by our auditor, Sicketts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members. On behalf of our team at Sicketts, we'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening, present the results of our audit of the county as of and for your fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024. We did meet also earlier this morning with the Finance Committee and shared these results as well. So just give you a brief high-level overview of the audit process. Our audit process started many months ago with what we call our planning meeting. Our planning meeting allows us to go through and really get, as our first year back doing the audit for the county, a lay of the land, looking through information from a control standpoint, talking about the new pronouncements issued by the Governmental Accounting Standards Boards that affected the county for this year. I'll highlight one of those in just a moment, and really sets the path forward for the remainder of our audit. The next phase of the audit is our preliminary fieldwork. That preliminary fieldwork is really focused on two components, looking at the risk assessment, and then really making sure that we have the foundation in place for our final fieldwork, the final phase of that audit. Final phase of the audit, final fieldwork, is really what you think about when you think about an audit process. This is our detailed testing that we're going through, looking at invoices, looking at payroll records, testing those records, going through and do our compliance testing, really kind of getting into the weeds, looking at those county records as part of the process there. Both our preliminary fieldwork and our final fieldwork were conducted in a hybrid manner, so we had both an on-site presence during the course of the audit, as well as remote work that was performed as well. The culmination of that final fieldwork, ultimately we issue an opinion on the county's financial report. So the county prepares its own financial statements. Spoke to the Finance Committee about that this morning as well. You are in somewhat of a unique category when you have your own financial statements that are actually prepared by the county. Many other counties or other local governments actually choose to have that process outsourced to their audit firm. The county goes through and prepares that annual comprehensive financial report. For those of you that have looked through that document, not a small undertaking in any way, shape, or form. But to highlight for you this evening, we have issued a clean, unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements, again, for that fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024. That clean, unmodified opinion is the highest level of assurance that we can provide as auditors, and it means, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So do want to commend you all for the receipt of that unmodified opinion. I did mention earlier that the county was subject to one new pronouncement this year from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or the GASB. That was on statement number 101 on compensated absences. This requires the county to look at how it reported primarily sick time as the biggest change there, and how that sick time was reported as a liability on the county's financial statements. County did a great job of going through, assessing that standard, determining the impact, and doing the calculations. We were able to implement that standard effectively for December 31st, 2024. Also within the report, just want to call to your attention the management's discussion and analysis that immediately follows the independent auditor's report section. If you're looking at nothing else within that 100-plus page document, do encourage you to look at the management's discussion and analysis. Provides a high-level summary and overview of the county's financial position and changes in financial position, but most valuably, it has management explanations for why those figures have changed from one year to the next. So it provides some context for you in addition to just looking at the numbers as part of that. From our testing standpoint, we had no deficiencies noted during the course of our audit from an internal control standpoint. We had no adjusting journal entries there. Again, a testament to the quality of the work that was done, not only by the finance department, by the other departments that participate and are part of the audit process as well. And then finally, the last piece, the required testing that we have over the county's federal and state grants. We're just about completed with that testing. I can report to the board this evening that there is no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted there, no non-compliance that was noted as part of that process, so expect to be issuing clean reporting there as well. With that, be happy to answer any questions, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Any questions? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to annual reports. I guess appropriately, coming off the audit, we'll start with our finance director, Mark DeVries.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm an accountant. Hi, Mark. Oh, you're in the program too. Accountants Anonymous. I just want to thank Anthony and Sikich for the audit this year. This was a return for them after 5 years, so they're coming in fresh. A lot has changed over the course of the past 5 years. And just speaking for myself, I think it was a very smooth process, and I appreciate that from Sikich, and I appreciate the kind words that were spoken up here. This could not have been possible without the hard work and dedication of my staff and the other accounting staff throughout the county, and I would just like to give a heartfelt acknowledgement to them. They are amazing, and I feel very privileged to work with professionals of the caliber that we have here. I'm not going to take too long, but I just want to hit some of the highlights of things that we're undertaking over the course of the year. The first one is priority-based budgeting. I see some new faces here since the last time we did this back in, I think it was 2020. We did the first time in 2018. We did it again in 2020 and again in 2024. And what priority-based budgeting does is it summarizes all of the programs in the entire county. Each department does their own program inventory. It assigns costs from the budget to those programs, and then those programs are scored relative to their alignment with the county strategic plan. And that helps us make decisions about priorities and whether or not a program is aligned with the strategic plan and how we continue to support those programs. Focuses more on the expense side, and now that we've been through this for the third time, we're looking at this year at kind of a different angle, and that is what we call a return on investment report that we received from ResourceX, who does the priority-based budgeting. And what this does is focuses on revenue enhancements and also other operational efficiencies that we could be realizing. It's a report that we got from them last August that's about 300 pages. And we've disseminated those findings to the various departments, and they've solicited their feedback on that. And so now we're going to be looking a little bit harder at revenues and operational efficiencies this year as a part of that PBB process. We're still going to look at those program expenses as well, but we do feel like some attention deserves to be paid to the revenue side at this time. And so we're in the process of going through there. I've read all the responses back from the departments. I'm happy to say that, a lot of the ideas, out of those 300 pages, there were a lot of ideas for revenue enhancements that we're already doing. And even if we don't get anything out of this in the end, I think that it's important for us to acknowledge that our department heads are on the cutting edge for the most part of their areas of expertise, and they have done a lot of the suggestions that have been gleaned from municipalities across the country in terms of how we run and manage our revenues in their various departments. And so I think that's great news just right out of the gate. Hopefully we can implement some of those suggestions, and that will help us in what looks to be a rather challenging 2026 budget process. The Munis, I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing about that, and we're probably sick of dealing with it, but it is an ongoing process. Munis is a software that is subject to security risks, just like any other software, and so we have to upgrade it periodically. It seems like almost every year we need to go through an upgrade, which involves a lot of testing on our part that we do and before we roll the final version out to the departments. We test all the processes to make sure that they are going to function the way they should and that there are no snags before we upload the final version into the production environment. The same is true for ExecuTime. That's on a very old version. We're on version 2018 in ExecuTime, and so we're also in the process of upgrading our time and attendance systems. And then finally, we're undergoing a reserve study that looks at the various significant risks that our county faces and assigns probabilities and also some degree of financial exposure to those risks, and accumulates all of those various risks and financial exposures and probabilities into one final number that will establish our baseline for reserves. This is intended to, at the very least, supplement the current policy that we have for reserves, which is setting a goal for 2 months, a requirement of total county expenditures and fund balance with a goal of 3 months. And we've kind of been hovering between that 2 and 3 month reserve goal for the past couple of years now. There have been some concerns about the levels of reserves that we have been maintaining, and so we decided to contract with GFOA to undergo the study that adds a little bit more science to how we establish our reserve levels, so that it is a defensible amount and that we can say that we've got some amount of data to support the amount that we're holding back. Those are the big ones. There's numerous other projects that we're undertaking. The work that we do in the finance department is largely cyclical. We have a weekly accounts payable processing cycle. We've got a bi-weekly payroll cycle. We've got month-end close, and then we've got the audit, year-end close, and budget cycles. And then in between there, we slide these other projects that I'm talking about here. And then there's some other miscellaneous stuff on the second page there. I'm just going to conclude with saying on the final page, you'll see a list of all the filings that we are both required, and then there's a couple at the very top that are voluntary. I started doing this last year when we had some media attention that was drawn towards Milwaukee Public Schools, and everybody, I'm sure at this point, have heard about their financial struggles and their failure to file timely reports, and I just wanted to make sure that this board is aware that all of the reports that we are required to file have been filed. They've been filed timely and accurately to the best of my knowledge. I've listed them out for you and what the due dates are and whether or not we filed them on time. All of them are listed as being filed on time. So I'm happy to, at this point, to answer any questions you might have about the finance department and what we do. There's kind of a list of the roles that we have there at the very end and basic stuff that we do along with the other goals and accomplishments that we've done so far this year. So, any questions?
Questions for the finance director?
Thank you.
Apparently not. Thank you, Mark. Our next annual report is from the Department of Human Services, Brent Relo.
All right, good evening. My name is Brent, and I'm not an accountant. I try to be an accountant at home, but that's really only if my wife lets me. So thanks for giving us the time tonight to talk about our annual report at Human Services. I first off want to thank our Human Services Board for all their support, as well as each one of you as our county board supervisors, in addition to our county administrator, Michael Lucky. We couldn't operationalize and carry out any of the things we do at Human Services without your support, and so thank you all very, very much. Each year I attempt to do a couple things as I present our annual report. I want to emphasize each and every employee because we could not do what we do at Human Services without all of them, and they deserve all the credit each and every day. But I also want to try to present something meaningful, unique, and different to the previous years, just to keep it fresh for you. In 2024, I will say that we had a total budget of $41,758,000. We had revenue that we took in over $35 million, so a lot going on over at Human Services. And we did end up under budget, which we're very proud of. And we have just about 250 employees, if you count our pool employees and our part-time employees across 5 divisions: administration, behavioral health, aging and ADRC, children and families, and economic support. So hopefully you all have a copy of the annual report with the big blue cover. There's some back there. If anybody would like to talk further about this, I'd love to do so. It's filled with data. We track all of our key outcome indicators that drive the work that we do. We're very transparent in all the goals that we set up each and every year, as well as reporting back and if we've accomplished those or not, in addition to setting forth the next year's goals in 2025, as well as our philosophy. So if you have any questions, please, I would love to talk about those. But I wanted to try something different this year and move above the data this year. So I wanted to move beyond. I want to talk a little something to operationalize what we do at Human Services, and we've named it the beautiful struggle. We see a great deal of adversity at Human Services, and as you can imagine, it can be trying at times, but we've attempted to reframe it this year. So I was listening to a podcast, and they talked about the beautiful struggles we have in life. In full transparency, I'd like to say it was a social work or a leadership podcast, but it wasn't. It was a sports podcast. But they talked about the struggles, and I started thinking about all the struggles we have at Human Services. I started thinking about the struggles I had as a case manager. I wondered if times would ever change, if we'd ever get through to a family, if we'd ever make a difference. I thought about the late nights in supervision with staff as we both wondered if we can go home at night, and we wondered if the children would be safe when we came back the next day, despite the best of our abilities. And that's the beautiful struggle we're trying to reframe this year at Human Services, because change may not happen overnight, but it does happen. It happens slow, it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, but it certainly does happen. So I'd like to share a little bit about that beautiful struggle with you tonight. So we walk beside individuals, children, families caught in the deep cycles of poverty, addiction, domestic violence, severe abuse, and poverty. We see pain up close. We witness heartbreak, and yet we return each day not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. It's in many ways a struggle against generational trauma and the daily instability and reminders from others who believe, quote unquote, these people will never change. A struggle at Human Services against burnout, secondary trauma, compassion fatigue for those of the people doing the work on the front lines that come early and stay late. And I can assure you there's some still working right now that started at 7 a.m. when we walked in the door. It's amazing to see the resilience of a child who finds safety for the first time, in the recovery journey of someone who once believed they had no future, in the reunification of a family that others had given up on, in seeing a mother leave her abuser with resources in hand for the very first time in her life. It's the persistence and dedication of staff who continue to show up every day, not for accolades, but because they believe in just the very possibility that change might occur today. It's not always glamorous in what we do over there on Annex Road. Success is often slow and quiet. It comes in small wins. We may not always see success right away. Sometimes, like I mentioned, it takes weeks, months, or years. But when it comes, even in the smallest moment, it reminds us why we keep going, because it transforms lives, because transformation is not a single event, it's a process. To that end, I want to share a recent 2024 story of a beautiful struggle to exemplify some of our work. Our intake department received a Child Protective Services report alleging a male teenager with autism was being left home alone. Given the information that the child was autistic, we felt the need to respond ASAP, given how autism can play a role in the unsafe nature of a child being left home alone, regardless of age. That can mean wandering off. That can mean not knowing how to call 911, what to do in case of a fire. So we screen that case in what we call a same-day response, which means we staff it, we grab our bag, and we head out the door. Upon arrival, and after sharing the basis for the report and concern, the mother was clearly nervous and asked a number of questions around who called this in, what's going to happen, and you're not coming into my house. That's not uncommon, and we frankly have normalized this as a perfectly rational response to anybody that shows up asking questions about their parenting. But after engaging Mom and letting her know the basis for the report, along with our goals this afternoon, she became tearful as she explained how she did not want to leave her child at home, but she felt she had no other options. Her son is actually nonverbal and struggles to meet his own basic needs, making childcare very difficult. The mother had been reaching out to staff at his school to ask for additional help with childcare as she had to go to work in order to pay rent. She indicated that she wasn't aware of any other resources for her to turn to. As we gathered information about who Mom can turn to for help or could be used as a collateral contact or future safety planning, she went on to disclose that due to her upbringing, she has extreme trust issues, and that frankly, everyone she's ever turned to for help has either taken advantage of her or let her down, and she wanted better for her family. She went on to describe severe domestic violence and that she was fearful about turning to the child's father's side of the family for help due to her own safety. She shared that members of her extended family sexually abused her daughter, and she would not expose anyone to that possibility. Luckily, by this time, we've moved from the porch to the living room as we built some trust. In essence, she didn't have any supports. Her execution was very flawed, but her positive intent to protect and provide was something we could potentially build on. She wanted better than what she had experienced. As afternoon became evening, she was extremely open that she had actually resorted to leaving her son home alone while she worked second shift. And she was trying to actually supervise him through a camera that she could talk to him through. In essence, she tried to build her own safety plan. She admitted this wasn't ideal, but given her circumstances, if she didn't work, she said she couldn't pay rent and they would be homeless. And in her mind, she thought that it would be far worse to be homeless and not have a home for your child than it would be to leave her child home alone, and she didn't want to look like a bad mother. Through exploration and brainstorming, she stated that her adult daughter used to help with childcare from time to time, but she also needed to work support herself, so she could no longer help. We thought that we could potentially build a safety plan, but only if we could identify and build resources to keep this child safe and in the home. Otherwise, we'd be looking at a skilled foster home for an autistic child who is nonverbal, and that would be hours and hours away. Ultimately, what we decided to do is the first 2 nights we engaged a retired neighbor to assist. She agreed to spend mom's work shifts at the home to provide supervision and daily cares after she had some training from mom. Moving forward, we used Department of Children and Family safety funds where we were able to develop a plan to pay the adult daughter to provide child care like she once did, and then she could take unpaid time from work. Long term, we located and provided a local respite provider to provide care to cover any remaining work shifts, so she was able to safely go to work and he was able to safely stay home between the daughter, the neighbor, and these newfound providers. So after safety was mitigated and the child was able to remain in the home, we needed to explore what else needed to be put into place beyond just the incident at hand. Mom described extreme fatigue, lack of resources, and the family presented with the need for education and assistance in many life domains, as you can tell. We made a referral to our community response program, and we were able to obtain medical assistance, MA, or otherwise known as Medicaid, for the family. And this was the first time they've ever had medical insurance. So due to acquiring the medical insurance, he was finally able to go to a specialized dentist to receive anesthesia for his special needs that were required to perform the oral surgery that he needed. In addition, he was now eligible for children's long-term support, where he's still receiving respite care today, and he now is going to be attending a summer camp here where we will provide a one-on-one aid for him to attend just like his peers, take place in normalized activities, and give his providers a break. He now has access for additional clinics and other medical needs are fulfilled. He still needs 24-hour supervision, and due to the resources provided, he remains in the home with his mom today. Additionally, now mom has a formal resource in these local foster care providers and an informal resource in her new neighbor, or her neighbor who's now a friend. In other situations, this would have absolutely resulted in out-of-home placement, causing further strife for the family as this child would have moved hours and hours away. But through engagement and trust building, we're able to build a safety plan and ameliorate the other life stressors for this family while putting in place lifelong supports that will last long after we're gone. So this is just one example of the up and down struggles, success, and ingenuity that staff walk through on a daily basis. But it's a beautiful struggle. So that's why we so appreciate your support, because behind every program, service line in the county budget are real people, real stories, and real future, and staff who pour their hearts into these futures. So thank you again for believing in the work we do and the people we serve. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for our Human Service Director? No? Thank you, Brent.
All right, thank you.
Our next annual report is from UW Extension. Chrissy Wen.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight to be able to share this great work that's going on throughout Jefferson County. So the UW-Madison, I'm Chrissy Wen, I'm Area Director for the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension here in Jefferson County. And the university's mission that we have is very simple, yet powerful. So we are the Wisconsin Idea in action throughout Jefferson County, and we teach and we learn and we lead, just really trying to connect everyone throughout Wisconsin to the university and all of the expertise within our local communities and leveraging our communities and dedicated staff. So we have 10 staff that are within the Jefferson County office, and we put our mission into action every single day, delivering evidence-based programs that address local needs. And we find those local needs through formal conversations, formal surveys, informal conversations, and so on. So I'm going to start from the end of my report, actually, and then I'm going to work my way back to the beginning. So I'm going to recap first, and then I'm going to talk through what I want to share today. So in total, in 2024, we had 73 local partners that we worked with throughout Jefferson County. That includes schools, libraries, county departments, nonprofit businesses, or nonprofit organizations, and for-profit businesses. We engaged nearly 2,666 youth and adults through our programming, and we had over 100 programs delivered to Jefferson County. We engaged 180 volunteers that help us do our work every single day. I know some of them are here tonight. Thank you so much. And we align with Jefferson County's strategic planning priorities through the quality of life, intentional economic growth, and transformative local government. So our 4-H program is run by Jerry Wilsinski. Our 4-H program is really about empowering Wisconsin youth and the communities that support them to thrive. We have 663 youth and volunteers across 30 community clubs participating in 4-H. Our most popular areas that youth are engaged in are art, photography, poultry, swine, foods, and nutrition. And our local 4-H livestock judging team last year earned top honors at the state level, which was a huge success for them. So all of our 4-H programs, they're fostering leadership, collaboration, critical thinking, and real-world skills for the youth that are involved in the programming. Moving on to our health and nutrition programming, this is called the FoodWise program here in Wisconsin, and FoodWise is federally funded through the USDA, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Education, or what you may have heard as SNAP-Ed. So in 2024, 745 participants benefited from our food and nutrition program. If any of you participated or went to the Riverside Market in Watertown this morning, our FoodWise coordinator was there, and she's running a gleaning program, which is where the market people that are there, if they have produce that they're not going to be able to use for the next market, she is now taking that produce and bringing it over to the Breadbasket Food Pantry. So that's a brand new programming that just happened today. So that was a really fun text message I got of all of this lettuce that got donated today. Allison Fowler is our bilingual dairy educator. She serves multiple counties, and she does most of her programming in English and in Spanish. And she's worked with over 400 dairy owners, managers, and employees to do hands-on training, especially with dairy health practices. She recently launched a bilingual dairy newsletter that is now being shared across the state. Josh Camps is our regional crop educator. He's working with over 60 producers, and they're participating in soil health and sustainability farming workshops. And Josh often works with our local farmer-led groups here in Jefferson County to provide educational resources. Julie Hill is our horticulture educator. She answers hundreds of garden questions every single year. Please, if you have a garden question, call her. But she had 35 in-person programs last year and 23 virtual programs that were held also for a statewide audience. There's also 75 Master Gardener volunteers here in Jefferson County, and they had over 2,000 hours that they contributed through volunteer hours and at 16 community sites. And we have our community development educator. His name is Steve Shimoliski. He really works to support systems for existing businesses and advance small town economies through focus on business, nonprofit, government, and then to develop and implement their own approach. So he helped launch the Rural Entrepreneurial Initiatives with Sustain Jefferson. And a recent effort here with the county is he provided the Real Colors training for our departments a couple weeks ago, and he will be doing that again in the future. So that's a snapshot of our staff and extension that are doing programming here in Jefferson County. I do want to mention a few programs that we offer that are not, we don't have an educator for, but we always promote to our all those partners that we talked about. And that, beyond what I talked about, is our parenting education program through Extension, our financial coaching program, and then, of course, our natural resource educators are throughout the state doing some good work. So although my report is rather short, there is, if you may have seen, the impact report has a lot more detail in it about the educators, and I would encourage and invite all of you to attend a program. If you have not, many of our programs are open to the public. Please come and see us in action. I want to thank you for allowing me to share the snapshot of this impactful work going on, and a special thank you to our staff, our partners, and the community champions that are out there. So together we are building a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant communities. And Extension is the Wisconsin idea in action. So any questions from the board?
Any questions for Ms. Wen?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our last annual report of the evening is on economic development. Deb Reinbold.
Good evening. I've got a presentation, so I'm hopeful that's coming up here in a second. Before I really get started, first I want to say thank you to Chrissy, because I'm on the board for the bread basket, and so we truly appreciate fresh vegetables. All right, thank you. So first, 2024 has been quite a year for us, and we are looking at this as the fiscal year of 2024. So first, I wanted to say thank you to our Thrive Economic Development Board, our Jefferson County Economic Development Consortium Board, and of course, all of you, our county board supervisors. We couldn't do it without you. And all of this, I should also mention, is being done the work of 3 people. So we're highly productive. If you don't mind going to the next slide. When you think about economic development, industrial development drives the need for workforce, drives the need for housing. That then drives the support for our retailers, and all of that then goes into infrastructure. So all of that drives the need for infrastructure. So this is a really good graphic just to kind of illustrate the work that we're doing and why. Next slide. As we go back and look at our organization, back 2017 is when Thrive Economic Development was created, and that was really traditional economic development. So think business retention, expansion, and attraction. When I took over as interim economic development director, we updated our strategic plan, and at that point, we added in housing and housing, activated workforce, and trust and partnerships into our strategic plan. And then in December, we actually did another half-day retreat, and during that retreat, we refocused again, kind of shifted. So again, business retention expansion, always core to economic development, but then shifted into placemaking, workforce participation, and then finally strategic support, awareness, and advancement. I should also note that our department supports 2 of the county's strategic plan goals, and intentional economic development, and also housing. Next slide, please. So when I was talking about a busy year, that's 2024 in a nutshell, at least as far as the business retention and expansion piece. So I've broken these slides out based on the different 4 strategies that we were talking about before. So as you look around, we have Kikkoman, of course, you all have seen. That's a great development, $563 million project, and they're actually starting to hire people. So as a reminder, that's 27 new jobs into our community, all very good, highly paying jobs. We've got Astelan Bio is in the middle. That's another $500 million project up in the town of Astelan. They've hired 77 new people. And then Onego Bio is the latest announcement that came out last year. At the end of last year, you all are aware, that's another $300 to $350 million development and about 83 jobs, and that will be breaking ground back in 2026. Next slide, please. So then looking into placemaking. So I know this is going to talk about the Live Local Development Fund. Before I get into that, as we talk about housing, Habitat for Humanity expanded into Jefferson County. I may have mentioned that before. Earlier this year, we actually broke ground on our first site. I'm also on the board for Habitat. We broke ground on our first site in Fort Atkinson. We'll be breaking ground next year, or actually I believe this fall, in Watertown on a site. We worked with the city of Watertown on a $100,000 rehab grant program. So the city had taken $100,000 worth of ARPA funds, and our department administered that program to try and help to rehab homes throughout the community. We also became HUD certified last year, and at the end of last year, we passed our first HUD audit. And now, as of the beginning of this year, we've transitioned Roxanne, who was in our department, into the economic support services. So thank you to Brent and your team for that easy transition. And then also Heather with the FEC, the Financial Empowerment Center Manager. They're now working together. But then as we get into the Live Local Development Fund, so we just had a housing study, a housing market study done, and it showed we've got a 1% vacancy rate throughout the county as far as multifamily homes, and we've got 1.7 months worth of inventory. So we definitely need housing within the community. What that means, 1% vacancy rate, typically about 5 to 6% is a stable market. And when we're talking about number of months of inventory for single family homes, basically what that's saying is that if no new homes come onto the market, all of those homes would be depleted within 1.7 months. Typically, you're looking at 5 to 6 again for that stable market. So our response to that, again, we did this back in 2023, made the announcement for the Live Local Development Fund. That again is strategic gap financing. So basically all of the investment that goes into this fund, we're able to deploy at the interest rate plus a half-point markup for a loan loss reserve, and then deploy that to developers so they can use that as part of their capital stack and part of their equity, and it encourages them to make the development here. So we're able to offer up to $25,000 loans at that negotiated rate. And since August of 2023, the Live Local Development Fund grew from $3 million, with one of the additional $1 million coming from the county with the sale of the Kiekeman property. It was at $9.5 million, and as of this weekend, we've got another $500,000, so we're now at $10 million. We've got a little bit of negotiations to do, but $10 million mark. Next slide, please. So workforce participation, our communities are aging, and so we're trying to figure out how we can get workforce to support our industrial growth. And what we're looking at is we've got a large group of international workforce that's coming into our community. And so we worked with the Jefferson County SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, and helped them to put on an employer how to hire international workers conference. And so that conference was held in August of last year, and there are about 80 attendees, 80 plus attendees at that event. And I should also note that that conference won a Pinnacle Award, which is a national award through the National SHRM organization. Next slide, please. So strategic support, awareness, and advancement. There's a lot of work that's been done, and I know it's really, it's all in that, the report that you all should have. But I thought I'd just go through and highlight some of the things from that report. So first of all, Julie on our team, our marketing manager, updated our website. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go out and take a look. Awareness building, community participation. We've gone out to multiple communities throughout the county and given reports and talked to them about how they can best support development within their communities. We host conversations with Thrive 4 times per year, and that basically is just, it's a way for people to come in and actually get to know our organization, meet with our board members, and get to learn about development opportunities within the county. We've participated with the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation and their Every Child Thrives Transformation Council. And then also, we worked with the Jefferson School District on their strategic planning session. They invited us to come in and talk about how we thought that the school should be looking with their strategic plan. As far as awareness, we participated in a couple of podcasts. We're getting to be experts on that, Michael. One for Fort Healthcare and then one Discover Wisconsin. I know we just had one a couple of weeks ago at Upswing, and there have been a couple more as well. But done multiple presentations throughout the state. So we were invited to participate in the WEDA, which is the Wisconsin Economic Development Authority, their best practices conference, and was on their attraction panel. UW-Madison Graskamp Center for Real Estate invited us to be a speaker for the 2024 Wisconsin Real Estate and Economic Outlook Conference. South Central Workforce Development Board asked us to come in and do a presentation as well. Local Rotaries, including the Jefferson and Fort Atkinson Rotary, also the Edgerton Chamber of Commerce, wanted to come out and ask us to come out and tell us about how we're doing our work. We've hosted multiple education sessions, including the State of the County, a panel on BioHealth Tech Hub, and then using public-private partnerships to maximize economic development results. And then we had our annual meeting last year where we brought in a speaker from the Montrose Group, which is a corporate site selection firm, talking about corporate site selection dynamics in 2024. And then we've also received recognition. And again, this is all in 2024. So Biz Times Media saw all the work that was being done and expanded their service area to include Jefferson County. Site Selectors Magazine had a 6-page spread on Jefferson County. It called it Getting Saucy in the Great Lakes. And then finally, the Kikkoman Project won first place Project of the Year for both small and mid-sized communities from Mid-America EDC. That's all of the Middle America states. And then I should also mention that multiple counties have reached out and asked us to talk to them about how we're doing things because they want to use us as a model. If you don't mind, next slide. Upcoming events. So Michael's going to be presenting the State of the County presentation. It's our next education session that will be hosted on July 24th. Our next Conversations with Thrive will be held on August 13th. That'll be at Exonia Bank, sponsored by Exonia Bank. And then if you don't mind, next slide. Also important to highlight, we again with Thrive, we've got our private sector investors, we've got our public sector investors, and this is just our slide highlighting them and offering our appreciation for their investment in our work. Next slide is just questions.
Any questions? No, thank you. It sounds like things are going great.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that ends our annual reports and brings us to committee reports, resolutions, and ordinances, starting with Executive Committee. Wisconsin County's resolution calling for support of local and state emergency management programs. Mr. Paulson.
Resolution number 2025
24.
24, calling for support of local and state emergency management programs. Wisconsin Counties Association develops a legislative agenda through its annual business meeting. This resolution is being adopted with the intent of being sent for consideration at that event. Chapter 323 of the Wisconsin State Statutes outlines specific roles for county emergency management departments. Federal and state funding for these activities has dwindled, even as weather-related emergencies are becoming more frequent and more costly. Emergency management departments statewide have proposed strategies for funding assistance, including a guaranteed per capita assistant rate to secure adequate staffing levels. Additionally, they have requested that the Wisconsin Disaster Fund, WDF, be funded to the necessary thresholds to reimburse communities for severe weather events. This resolution calls for the state government to guarantee a $1 per capita payment to support county emergency management departments and further requests that they work with those departments to ensure stable and sustainable funding to respond to disasters. The Executive Committee has considered this resolution at its meeting on May 28, 2025, and recommended forwarding it to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note. Funding for emergency management primarily comes from the Emergency Management Performance Grant and Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act funding. Both programs have federal and state funding components. This emergency management funding has steadily decreased from $114,499 received in 2019 to $75,164 budgeted for 2025. $1 per capita payment would equate to approximately $87,000 in additional revenue for emergency management, assuming no loss of current funding. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of this resolution.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Paulson, second by Supervisor Brogler. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next resolution, Wisconsin County's resolution urging the incorporation of local feedback and technical expert committee recommendations in ATCP 51.
Resolution number 2025-25, urging the incorporation of local feedback and technical expert committee recommendations in ATCP 51. The Wisconsin Counties Association develops a legislative agenda through its annual business meeting. This resolution is being adopted with the intent of being sent for consideration at that event. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, DATCAP, manages ATCP 51, the administrative rule that governs the livestock facility siting law. While input has been solicited from counties and local governments across the state, including through a technical expert committee, concerns have arisen that this input is not being effectively incorporated into the rule revision process at ATCP 51. Has not been updated in many years. This resolution calls upon DATCAP, the legislature, and the governor to ensure that the expertise and experience of local governments and meaningful integrated into updates to ATCP 51 while obtaining authority at the state level. The executive committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 28th of 2025 and recommended forwarding to the county board. Fiscal note, passage of this resolution has no determinable fiscal impact. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of this resolution.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Supervisor Paulson, second by Supervisor Jekyll. Any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, we'll call a question. All in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Resolution to authorize the county administrator to sign the 2025 to 2029 Soil and Water Resource Management Master Grant Contract with the Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection. Supervisor Paulson.
Resolution number 2025-26, authorizing the county administrator to sign the 2025-2029 Soil and Water Resource Management Master Grant Contract with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection awards annual soil and water resource management, SWRM, grants to county conservation committees. In the case of Jefferson County, through its Land and Water Conservation Department. These grants assist in funding county conservation staff and cost-share conservation practices installed by producers with assistance through the county. Jefferson County recently received the updated master contract that will govern the terms of the program for the years 2025 through 2029. This new 2025 SWRM master contract will replace the 2017 SWRM master contract and will be updated every 5 years. In the intervening years of the master contract, Jefferson County will receive an acknowledged approval of the updated schedule of awards and Exhibit A. This resolution authorizes the county administrator to sign the master contract and any associated annual addenda or amendments to it. The executive committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 28th of 2025 and recommended forwarding on to the county board for approval. Fiscal note. Authorization and execution of the SWRM master contract makes Jefferson County eligible to receive ongoing funding allocations from the state of Wisconsin under section 92.14 of Wisconsin state statutes. This grant funds staffing in the Land and Water Conservation Department. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Paulson, a second by Supervisor Turville Heights. Any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Lund.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two questions regarding Article 13, non-discrimination and affirmative action requirements, listed on page 13 of the packet. One, why in the initial non-discrimination statement, the first paragraph under Article 13, why is gender identity and gender expression not listed when it is listed in 13.5, listed on the next page of the packet, page 14? And two, why is sexual orientation accepted from the grantee agreement to take affirmative action to ensure equal employment opportunities. That's again in the first paragraph under Article 13 on page 13 of the packet.
Is there somebody prepared to answer that? Supervisor Turtle Heights?
I don't know exactly why they have it written that way, but I do know that at the last Land and Water meeting, they said basically that their legal team had made the changes that they made and were not open to any discussion.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Which brings us to the last under Executive Committee, authorizing utility easement. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was just rocking till then. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Which leads us to authorizing utility easements to the city of Jefferson and the Food and Beverage Innovation Campus. Supervisor Paulson.
Resolution number 2025-27, authorizing utility easements to the city of Jefferson and the Food and Beverage Innovation Campus. The Jefferson County Board of Supervisors previously authorized the county administrator to work with the city of Jefferson to finalize a certified survey map, CSM, for the Food and Beverage Innovation Campus located on the former county farmland as part of the 100-acre land sale to Kecum Corporation. 2 CSMs were recorded identifying lots, outlots, and right-of-way dedications. Further land transactions are required to support the development. Jefferson Utilities has requested generic utility easements from the county to allow it to better serve future potential tenants. Currently, several easements on county property have been identified as set forth in the attached renderings. Additional utility easements may be required to service the campus, depending upon the final engineering and future tenants. This resolution authorizes county staff to finalize and execute utility easements to the city of Jefferson Utilities to serve the Food and Beverage Innovation Campus. The Executive Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on May 28th of 2025 and recommended forwarding to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note. The rights and obligations of the easement areas will be negotiated with Jefferson Utilities and the City of Jefferson, including each party's responsibility for the restoration of any disturbances to the property and ongoing maintenance. Jefferson County does not intend to seek payment for the conveyance of the utility easement at this site. Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Paulson, a second by Supervisor Jekyll. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the resolution, signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Aye. Hearing none, the motion passes. Brings us to Finance Committee. Resolution accepting grants from the Compere Fund for Rural America and the Wisconsin Association of Fairs and amending the 2025 budget in the Fair Park Department. Supervisor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2025-28. The Jefferson County Fair hosts a goat exhibit that is growing rapidly. In order to meet the demands of the program, the Fair Park Department has applied for and received grant funding from Compere Fund for Rural America in the amount of $4,000 and the Wisconsin Association of Fairs in the amount of $1,000 to purchase 12 additional goat pens to work within the existing layout of the goat barn. This funding was not anticipated during the 2025 budget process. The pens will cost $4,381 and be available in time for the fair. The remaining funds will be spent on other Fair Week expenses. This resolution authorizes the acceptance of the grant funding and amends the 2025 budget accordingly. On June 10th, 2025, the Finance Committee reviewed the request from the Fair Park Director and recommended forward this resolution to County Board for approval. Fiscal note, this resolution authorizes the finance director to make the necessary budget adjustments to enact this resolution. This is a budget amendment. County board approval requires a 2/3 votes of the entire membership of the county board, 20 votes of the 30-member county board. Mr. Chair, I move for approval of this resolution.
Second. Okay, motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Christensen. Any discussion on the resolution? Not, It's a roll call vote. Please use your tablets, which I didn't hook up.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Herbst?
Aye.
Supervisor Winnicke?
Aye.
Supervisor Truax?
Aye.
We have 28 no, or I'm sorry, 28 yes, 0 no, and 2 absent.
Okay, resolution accepting the Department of Justice's extension of the deflecting court involvement due to school refusal grant at the Human Services Department. Supervisor Jones.
Resolution number 2025-29. On December 12, 2023, the county board accepted grant funding from the Wisconsin Department of Justice in the amount of $63,243 to deflect youth referred to the youth justice system for school refusal behaviors and chronic truancy. A budget amendment was made at that time to the 2024 human service budget. Through 2024, the Human Service Department was reimbursed $8,875.01 for expenses incurred in 2024. The Department of Justice has approved an extension of this grant, allowing Human Service to continue services under this grant, including intervention programs for students at risk of truancy at local high schools and middle schools, family-based case management with students, school mentors to meet with students at the school as well as with their families, and continuing education and training for human service staff. This resolution authorizes the acceptance of the Department of Justice extension for grant funding and amends the 2025 budget accordingly. On June 10, 2025, the Finance Committee reviewed the request for the Human Service Director and recommended forwarding this resolution to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, Jefferson County will receive reimbursement for the costs incurred during 2025. This resolution authorizes the Finance Director to make the necessary budget adjustments to enact this resolution. This is a budget amendment. County Board approval requires a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the County Board, 20 votes of the 30-member County Board. Mr. Chair, I move for approval of this resolution.
Okay, I have a motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Paulson. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please use your tablet.
Supervisor Richardson?
Aye.
Supervisor Herbst?
Aye.
Supervisor Winnicke?
Aye.
Supervisor Truax?
Aye.
We have 28 yes, 0 no, and 2 absent.
So final resolution from the Finance Committee tonight, accepting bids for roof replacement to the goat barn and portions of the sheep barn. Supervisor Jones.
Resolution number 2025-30. Jefferson County Fair Park sustained property damage to several items on its campus on March 16, 2025. The goat barn and a portion of the sheep barn was substantially damaged, removing several roof panels, loosening up or removing up to 40% of the roof fasteners. Both these roofs have exceeded their design life cycle and should be replaced before incurring additional water damage and flying debris risk. On April 24, 2025, the Director of Facilities solicited bids for the removal and replacement of the goat barn and partial removal and replacement of the sheep barn roofs. A total of 3 proposals were received by the May 22, 2025 deadline. The lowest qualified bidder was CC Group LLC with a total cost of $89,250. The bid documents created a unit price allowance to repair roof framing items on as a needed unit cost basis. The contract sum will be adjusted by change order upon completion of the project once all major repair incidents can be subtotaled. An allowance of $20,000 recommended for the project total of $109,250. The Director of Facilities checked the references and ensured that this bidder would be able to perform the work as required and receive positive responses. The Building and Grounds Committee and Finance Committee considered these proposals at their meetings on June 2nd and June 10th, 2025, respectively, and recommended that C&C Group LLC conduct their roofing project as specified in the request for bid at an estimated project price of $109,250. This will also be an item on the Fair Park Committee agenda on June 12, 2025, following County Board approved action. Fiscal note, on March 11, 2025, the County Board of Supervisors has approved $90,000 in carryover funding for capital needs at the Fair Park and also $30,000 for a feasibility study. The Finance Committee has determined that the need to repair existing facilities and bring deferred maintenance up to date exceeds the current need for a feasibility study. This resolution authorizes the use of $30,000 formerly reserved for the feasibility study to be applied towards the roofing repairs in the goat and sheep barns. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Jones, Supervisor Paulson seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item 12 on your agenda, the Highway Committee, resolution authorizing the Highway Department to enter into a contract for lime rock crushing. Supervisor Jekyll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Highway Department leases a quarry on County Highway J and receives lime rock crushing bids from vendors every 2 years to replenish inventory. For 2025, the vendors were asked to provide bid numbers that included crushing several grades of lime rock and 3/4 recycled asphalt pavement. This resolution authorizes Jefferson County Highway Department to enter into a contract with Beyond Limestone for the limestone crushing in 2025. The Highway Committee met on May 27, 2025, and recommended forwarding this resolution to the County Board for approval. You can see down below the different bidders that bidded on the job, and Beyond was our best price for us. So fiscal note, adequate funds are available in the Highway Department budget for this contract. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Jekyll, second by Supervisor Paulson. Any discussion? Supervisor Guldig.
I request to abstain for potential conflict of interest.
Noted.
I have a question. How long are you going to be storing the wrap?
The recycled asphalt down the plant. I mean, so everything that's out there right now is basically blacktop we picked up off previous projects. So we do sell that. We use that material on our projects, and we do sell it to the towns and villages. So the amount that we'll crush down there probably lasts 2-3 years. It usually stays pretty. It does get a little bit harder, but we take our bigger machine can break that up, so we can put it through the machine or use it for shoulder material.
That satisfies your question?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Not really. So how high are they stockpiling it?
30, 40 feet maybe in the air. I don't know what their conveyor belts reach.
All right, I would advise you not to stack it that high.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Hearing none. With the noted abstention, the motion carries. Next item, Law Enforcement and Emergency Management Committee. Supervisor Morris is absent tonight. Supervisor Drana, I don't know if you can introduce a resolution from Zoom, or if you'd prefer to have another member.
I can give it a shot. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Resolution 2025
32.
32, authorizing the county administrator to contract with OCV LLC for custom sheriff mobile application. Executive summary: the inmates who are housed in the Jefferson County Jail cannot possess money at the time they are incarcerated. Because of this, each inmate is assigned an inmate trust account upon processing into the jail. This account allows for inmates to purchase hygiene items, snack food, and other items that are not given to them while incarcerated. Jefferson County retains a percentage of the inmate commissary sales that are used to supplement funding for the jail amenities such as cable TV. Jefferson County wishes to make it easier for the friends and loved ones to inquire about the status of inmates and contribute funds to the inmate trust accounts. To this end, the county desires to contract with OCV LLC, which is a software developer that offers a smartphone application that accomplishes these goals. The custom Sheriff Mobile application will also provide a communication tool for the Sheriff's Office to reach the public, centralize services from other websites related to posting bonds and streamlining scheduling visitation, among other things. OCV LLC is proposing a 3-year contract for a total of $42,676 for its services, which include development, support, and maintenance of the application. This contract complies with the Jefferson County Purchasing Ordinance, which has a sole source procurement because the sheriff's has determined OCV LLC provides the only product that is compatible with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office internal software system. Funding for the software will be primarily provided by fees assessed on purchases made from the commissary. These funds are collected into a separate bank account and are easily monitored to determine whether the costs to administer the software are covered by the fees assessed. If the fees are not adequate to cover the purchases made by the commissary account, the Sheriff's Department will cover the shortfall by contracting for additional inmate housing with the state of Wisconsin or the United States government. Law Enforcement Committee reviewed this request on its March 20th, 2025 meeting, and the Finance Committee reviewed this request on April 9th and May 6th, 2025 meetings, and both committees ultimately referred to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, the Sheriff's Department assesses fees on purchases made in the commissary funding for the proposed contract in the total amount of $42,676 for 3 years will be provided through the collection of these fees. Mr. Chair, I would ask for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Drana, second by Supervisor Paulson. Any discussion on the resolution? Supervisor Lund.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about the third sentence in the fourth paragraph of the resolution. The first sentence says, funding for the software will be primarily provided by fees assessed on purchases made from the commissary. Then the third sentence in that paragraph says, if the fees are not adequate to cover purchases made from the commissary account. And I believe that should be, if the fees are not adequate to cover the cost of the administration of the software.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in line with the intent.
Okay. So we're good? All right. Any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Brings us to item 14, report on planning and zoning. Supervisor Jekyll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report to the honorable members of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, filed for a public hearing held on May 15, 2025, as required by law pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. Notice thereof having been given and being duly advised of the wishes of the town boards and persons in the areas affected, hereby makes the following recommendations. The committee has reviewed and considered the facts presented in the application and received in public hearing, and finds that the criteria listed in Wisconsin Statute 91.48 and Jefferson County Zoning Section 22-56B has been met for the below listed petitions. Committee further finds that the petitions are consistent with the Jefferson County Comprehensive Plan and Farmland Preservation Plan. For further support of committee's recommendation can be found at the staff reports and individual files, petition files on record in the Plan and Development Office. Approval of petitions as listed, dated this 10th day of June 2025, Blaine Paulson, Secretary. And with that, I will go on to ordinance number 2025-4, amending the official zoning map of of Jefferson County Board of Supervisors has heretofore been petitioned to amend the zoning map of Jefferson County as listed, and everybody can see them written out there plain as day. Fiscal note, there is passage of this ordinance has no determinable fiscal impact. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this ordinance.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Jekyll, second by Supervisor Kennard. Oh, I'm sorry. Motion, second by Supervisor Paulson. Mr. Kennard, I believe you have a,
I need to abstain for a potential conflict of interest.
thought you might. Okay, any further discussion on the ordinance? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed,
Aye.
same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 15, appointments by the county administrator, Mr. Lucky.
If it's all right with the chair, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to consider all four of these with one motion.
Any objection to that? I think we can do that.
By virtue of the authority vested in me under sections 59.12C of the Wisconsin statutes, I respectfully request confirmation of the following appointments. Joanne Larson from Fort Atkinson to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a 3-year term ending July 1st, 2028. Stephen Massey, Lake Mills to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a 3-year term ending July 1st, 2028. Joanne Larson, Realtor Representative from Fort Atkinson to the Land Information Council for a 3-year term ending June 30th of 2028. And Sarah Baker as Public Safety Representative from Dousman to the Land Information Council for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028.
Yeah, to entertain a
Confirm.
motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Supervisor Brogler, second by Supervisor Kennard. Any discussion on the appointments? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item 16, appointment by the county board chair. On behalf of Supervisor Nass, I would ask that you appoint Sean Heaslip to the Local Emergency Planning Committee, the LEPC, for an indeterminate term, and also Jeff Smith to the Wisconsin River Trail Transit Commission, the WRRTC, for a 3-year term ending April 30th, 2028.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Supervisor Degner,
Second.
second by Supervisor Backlund. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Which brings us to appointments by the Human Services Board, Supervisor Jones.
By the virtue of authority vested in the Human Service Board under Section 2.208 of the Jefferson County Ordinance, the Human Service Board hereby requests the County Board's confirmation of the following appointments. Lou Klein, Watertown, Wisconsin, to the Aging Disability Resource Center Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending July 1, 2028. John Donahue, Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, Aging Disability Resource Center Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending July 1, 2028. Mary Roberts, Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, to the Aging and Disability Resource Center Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending July 1, 2028. And Mary Ann Sawaska, Lake Mills, Wisconsin, to the Nutrition Project Council for a 3-year term ending June 10, 2028. Mr. Chair, I move for acceptance of these nominations to the Human Service, as mentioned.
Motion by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Lund. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Which brings us to public comment of a general nature. Is there anyone wishing to address the board tonight via public comment? Okay, any announcements? Supervisor Turville Heights?
Mr. Chair, I just want to remind folks that might not know that this coming weekend is Midwest Fire Fest in Cambridge. So if you're interested in getting into the arts of burning things, that's the place to go.
Okay, any other announcements?
I have a couple.
Mr. Lucky?
June 19th, next week, is the first of the local government summits to be held by the Local Government Institute. This is going to be focusing on artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend, but we're looking to see if anyone is interested. The summit is in Appleton. It's all day. If anyone has a free day on the 19th and wants to learn more about how local governments across Wisconsin are tackling issues on artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, liability, things like that, please let me know. We will cover the cost of registration. We are also launching the Jefferson County newsletter. It'll be the first one coming out this month. It's a really exciting project we've been working on for quite some time at the staff level. We have an email list built out from people who have opted in, but if you have your own networks or people that might want to share, I will follow up with a link, but it's very simply accessed by news.jeffersoncountywi.gov. And finally, in the back, you will see some yard signs for the Jefferson County Fair happening in 29 days. If you have locations, either personal yards or areas around the county, you know it would be good to put some signs up. I ask you to please take some, and we do have more available at the fair office. You all should have also received from the fairs to the fair 2 fair tickets and a program as well, so you can see all the great stuff that's been planned.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements?
Yeah, just there's 2 dairy breakfasts this year in Jefferson County. One's in the Watertown area on this Saturday, and the other one's in the Jefferson area on the 28th. And everyone have a happy Father's Day.
Okay. Any other announcements?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Ms. Turville Heights. So motion by Supervisor Jekyll, second by Supervisor Turville Heights. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.